My ex-husband told me I'd never be enough. 10 months later, he walked into my event with his new fiancée, ready to watch me fail. But when a billionaire pulled me close and kissed me in front of everyone, you should have seen the look on his face. Before we get into this, hit that subscribe button because what happens next will blow your mind. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever gotten the perfect revenge on someone who underestimated you? Because honey, this story is about to take you on a ride. They say the best revenge is success. But let me tell you, the best revenge is success plus a man who sees your worth plus your ex-husband, watching it all go down in real time. This is the story of how I went from broken and divorced to thriving and unbothered. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for every single second of this. Let's get into it. Welcome to Reality Stories Hub. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know that moment when you're standing in front of your closet and nothing feels right? That was me. My hands were shaking as I held up this beautiful emerald green dress for what felt like the 100th time. My best friend Jessica was sitting on my bed, sipping wine, watching me fall apart. "Emily, you need to calm down," she said, giving me that look. "This is your night. You planned this whole thing. Daniel is just another person coming to the event. Just another person. Right. Except Daniel wasn't just another person. He was my ex-husband. The man I gave 9 years of my life to. The man I worked 2 jobs for while he went to law school. The man whose mother told me at Christmas dinner that I wasn't classy enough for their family, while he sat there quiet, not saying a word to defend me. The man who looked me straight in the eyes 10 months ago and said, "Emily, I need someone who pushes me to be better." And that's just not you. Those words still hurt. Even after all the crying. Even after all the therapy sessions. Even after Jessica had to take the cookie dough ice cream away from me at 2 a.m. Even after I started putting my life back together, piece by piece, there was still this little voice in my head saying maybe he was right. Maybe I wasn't enough. But tonight wasn't about him. Tonight was about me. I'm the director of the Riverside Art Center now. I earned that position through hard work and talent, not because anyone felt sorry for the divorced woman in the office. This spring arts benefit was my idea, my project, my moment to shine. I'd brought in over 80 pieces from local artists, convinced some of the richest people in Chicago to show up, and I even had one of my own paintings in the show. Nobody knew it was mine, though. I was too scared to put my real name on it. I slipped into that green dress. It fit me perfectly, hugging every curve, making me feel strong. I'd spent 3 hours on my hair, watching YouTube videos until I got it right, styling it in these beautiful curls that framed my face. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. This woman looked confident. She looked successful. She looked like she had it all together. "There she is," Jessica said, standing up and helping me zip the back. "That's my Emily. Now let's go show everyone why you're the best thing that ever happened to that art center." The Grand Ashford Hotel ballroom looked like something from a magazine. These gorgeous crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting this warm, golden light everywhere. The artwork I'd chosen was displayed on the walls, each piece telling its own story. Well-dressed people were everywhere, holding champagne glasses, talking and laughing. A string quartet played softly in the corner. I made this happen. Me. Not Daniel's wife. Not somebody's daughter. Just Emily Carter, doing what she loved. I walked through the crowd, talking to donors and artists, discussing the paintings with real passion. This was where I belonged. Art had always been my first love, even before Daniel. Even when he called it a cute little hobby that won't pay the mortgage, I knew deep down this was my purpose. Then I felt it. You know that feeling when someone's staring at you? The hair on the back of your neck stands up. I turned around, and there he was. Daniel, walking through the entrance with her. Ashley, the paralegal from his firm. The woman he swore was just a colleague, until she wasn't. She was everything I wasn't: tall, thin, blonde, the kind of woman his mother probably threw a party about. They matched, like couples do when they coordinate their outfits. His gray suit, her gray dress. Very polished. Very, we're so in love. My stomach dropped. But I kept my face calm, professional. I was the director here. I had to welcome everyone, even the man who broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. "Emily," Daniel said, walking over with that smile he used on clients. Friendly but distant. "The place looks amazing. Really impressive." "Thank you," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I'm glad you could come." Ashley reached out her left hand to shake mine, and of course there it was. A massive diamond engagement ring, catching the light, practically blinding me. "We wouldn't have missed it," Ashley said, her voice sweet as honey. "Daniel told me how much you love art. It's so nice that you found something to fill your time." Fill my time. Like this was just something to keep me busy between crying sessions and eating ice cream. Like I hadn't built a career. Like I wasn't standing in a room full of people who respected my work. Jessica appeared next to me like an angel. "Emily, the Millers want to talk about their donation," she said smoothly, barely glancing at Daniel. "Excuse us." As she pulled me away, Daniel called after me. "It's good to see you're doing okay financially. I know money was tight after the divorce. If you ever need help." I didn't respond. Couldn't respond. Because if I opened my mouth, I might have screamed. This was a professional event. I had to keep it together. Jessica walked me straight to the bar and ordered me a water. "Breathe," she whispered. "Just breathe. You're doing amazing. Don't let him get to you." I took a sip and tried to calm my racing heart. I'd worked so hard to get here. I wasn't going to let Daniel ruin this night. I wasn't going to let him make me feel small ever again. But then something happened that changed everything. I was standing there at the bar, trying to pull myself together, when the whole room seemed to shift. Conversations got quieter. People started turning their heads. I heard someone whisper, "Oh my God, is that Christopher Blake?" Christopher Blake. Real estate billionaire. Philanthropist. The man had donated millions to arts programs across the country, always quietly, never making a big deal about it. He'd given money to our center before, but always anonymously. I'd never actually met him in person. And now he was here, walking through my event in this perfectly tailored black suit, moving through the crowd like he owned the world. Which, honestly, he kind of did. As the director, I had to greet him. It was my job. I smoothed down my dress, took a deep breath, and walked over. "Mr. Blake," I said, extending my hand. "I'm Emily Carter, director of the center. Thank you so much for coming tonight." His handshake was warm and firm. When he smiled, it reached his eyes, creating these little crinkles at the corners. "Please call me Christopher. And I should be thanking you. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. Your artist selection is incredible." We started walking through the gallery together, and I felt myself relaxing. He didn't just make small talk. He really understood art. He asked real questions about the techniques, about the stories behind each piece, about why I'd chosen these specific artists. It was refreshing, talking to someone who cared about more than just the price tags. "This one," he said, stopping in front of a painting. It showed a woman standing at a window, light streaming in, her face turned toward the sun. "This speaks to me. There's something about the way the artist captured hope." My heart started pounding. That was my painting. The one I'd put in the show under a fake name, because I was too afraid to claim it. "The artist calls it breaking through," I said quietly. "It's about that moment when you realize you're not who you used to be anymore. When you realize the person you're becoming is someone you actually like." Christopher turned to look at me. Really look at me. "Are you the artist?" I hesitated, then nodded. "I don't usually tell people. It feels too vulnerable, you know?" "It's beautiful," he said, his voice sincere. "You're incredibly talented." We talked for over an hour. He told me about growing up in Detroit, about starting his first business with nothing, about why he loved supporting artists, because someone had believed in him once when he had nothing, and it changed his life. I told him about my journey through art history, about the 9 years I spent supporting someone else's dreams before finally chasing my own, about finding myself again after everything fell apart. I didn't mention Daniel by name, but Christopher seemed to understand. "Whoever made you doubt your talent," he said softly, "was a fool." That's when Daniel appeared, interrupting us like he owned the place. "Christopher Blake," Daniel said, shaking his hand with that lawyer charm. "Daniel Foster, attorney at Morrison and Associates. This is my ex-wife, Emily. I'm sure she's mentioned me." The assumption that I'd been talking about him. The need to establish his credentials, his importance. It was so typically Daniel that I almost laughed. Christopher shook his hand politely, but turned right back to me. "Actually, we've been discussing art and Emily's incredible work here. Your name hasn't come up." Daniel's smile got tight. Ashley came over, wrapping herself around Daniel's arm like she was marking her territory. "This gallery is cute," she said, looking around with this dismissive little smile. "Daniel, remember that gallery in London we talked about for the honeymoon?" Now that was impressive. There it was. The reminder that they were getting married. That he'd moved on. That I was supposed to feel like the loser in this situation. Christopher glanced at me, and something shifted in his expression. "Emily," he said, "I'd love to see the collection upstairs. Would you show me?" "Of course," I said, grateful for the escape. As we headed toward the stairs, I heard Daniel say something to Ashley, but I didn't care. For the first time all night, I could breathe. The upstairs gallery was quieter, more intimate. Big windows overlooked the ballroom below, and the artwork up here was more personal, more raw. Christopher walked slowly through the space, hands in his pockets, taking his time with each piece. "I'm sorry if I overstepped down there," he said finally. "But I could see you were uncomfortable." "You didn't overstep," I told him. "Thank you for that." We stood by the window, watching the party below. I could see Daniel and Ashley still standing in the same spot, looking up at us. "Can I tell you something?" Christopher asked, turning to face me. "I didn't just come here tonight for the art. I mean, yes, the art is incredible, and yes, I believe in supporting this center. But I've been following your work for months, Emily. Your installations, your choices, even the pieces you've created yourself. I've been one of your anonymous donors because I wanted to support your vision without any strings attached." My heart was racing. "Why?" "Because talent recognizes talent," he said simply. "And because from everything I've learned about you, everything I've seen in your work, you're someone I wanted to know. Not just professionally, but as a person." The air between us felt electric. This man, successful, intelligent, gorgeous, had been paying attention to me. Not because he felt sorry for me. Not because he wanted something. But because he valued what I created. "I know we just met tonight," Christopher continued, stepping closer. "And maybe this is crazy, but I feel like I already know you through your work. Would it be completely inappropriate if I asked to kiss you?" My mind was racing. This was too fast, wasn't it? We'd just met. He was a billionaire donor. Daniel was downstairs. People were watching. There were a million reasons to say no. But I was so tired. Tired of letting other people's opinions control my life. Tired of playing it safe. Tired of being the woman who made herself smaller to make everyone else comfortable. Tired of being afraid. "Yes," I whispered. "You can kiss me." Christopher's hand came up to cup my face, gentle and sure. And when his lips met mine, everything else just disappeared. The event, the guests, Daniel, all of it. There was just this moment, this kiss, this feeling of being wanted. Not despite who I was, but because of it. When we pulled apart, I was smiling. Really, genuinely smiling in a way I hadn't in years. I felt light. Free. Like I could float away. That's when I heard his voice. Sharp. Angry. "Are you kidding me right now, Emily?" We turned to find Daniel and Ashley standing there. They'd followed us upstairs. Daniel looked furious, his face red, his hands balled into fists. Ashley looked shocked and humiliated. "What exactly is going on here?" Daniel demanded. "You're making a fool of yourself, throwing yourself at the first rich guy who pays attention to you. This is embarrassing, Emily. This is really embarrassing." Something inside me snapped. Maybe it was Christopher's kiss still tingling on my lips. Maybe it was all those therapy sessions finally clicking into place. Maybe I was just done. Done being small. Done being quiet. Done letting this man make me feel like I was nothing. "Embarrassing," I repeated, my voice calm but firm. "You want to know what's embarrassing, Daniel?" I took a step toward him. "Embarrassing is being married to someone for 9 years and never once standing up for them when your mother made them feel like garbage at family dinners. Embarrassing is having an emotional affair for 8 months and lying straight to your wife's face when she asks if something's wrong." Daniel's face went pale. "That's not, I never." "You never what?" I continued, my voice getting stronger. "Never made me feel like I was too much and not enough at the same time? Never compared me to your colleagues' wives? Never told me to dress differently, act differently, be different for your stupid work events?" Ashley was staring at Daniel now, and I could see doubt creeping into her face. Christopher spoke up, his voice calm but powerful. "I think you need to step back and remember that you walked away from this incredible woman. That was your choice. What she does now, who she kisses, who she spends her time with, that's none of your business anymore. This is just a rebound." Daniel shot back, but his voice was weaker now. "She's using you for your money. That's what she—" "Finish that sentence," Christopher said quietly, dangerously. "Please, finish that sentence and let everyone hear exactly what kind of man you are." Daniel's mouth snapped shut. Ashley was tugging on his arm now. "Daniel, let's just go." But I wasn't done. Not yet. Not after 9 years of swallowing my words. "You want to know the truth, Daniel?" I said. "You leaving me was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because it forced me to remember who I was before I spent 9 years trying to be who you wanted. I'm a talented director. I'm an artist. I'm a woman who knows her worth. And you know what? I'm grateful. I took another step forward. Grateful that you're Ashley's problem now. Grateful that I get to move forward with my life. Grateful that I never have to make myself smaller again just to fit into your narrow little world. The silence was deafening. Daniel looked like I'd slapped him. Ashley was pulling harder on his arm, clearly wanting to leave. Finally, Daniel turned and walked toward the stairs. Ashley clicked behind him in her heels, wobbling a little. "You'll regret this," he called back. But it sounded empty. Hollow. "The only thing I regret," I called after him, "is not doing this sooner." As they disappeared, I heard clapping. Jessica was standing at the entrance to the upper gallery with some of my colleagues, all of them applauding. Word had clearly spread because more people were looking up at us from the ballroom, some smiling, some whispering behind their hands. Christopher took my hand. "Are you okay?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "I'm better than okay. I'm free." The rest of the event passed in this beautiful blur. Daniel and Ashley left early. I saw them arguing in the parking lot through the window. My colleagues kept coming up to congratulate me, not just on the successful event, but on finally standing up for myself. Jessica hugged me so hard I thought my ribs might crack. "That's my girl," she kept saying. "That's my girl." As things wound down, Christopher and I found ourselves alone on a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The Chicago skyline glittered in front of us, lights twinkling like stars. "I hope I didn't cause problems for you professionally," Christopher said. "I just couldn't stand watching him talk to you that way." "You didn't cause problems," I assured him. "You reminded me that I don't have to accept being treated badly just to keep the peace." "Thank you for that." "I meant what I said earlier," Christopher continued, "about wanting to know you. Not just professionally, though I do have a project I'd love your input on, a major art acquisition for my new headquarters. But more than that, I'd like to take you to dinner. A real date. If you're interested." I looked at this man. Successful, kind, someone who saw me for who I really was. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. "I'm interested," I said slowly. "But I need to be honest with you. I need to take things slow. I'm still healing, still figuring out who I am outside of that marriage." Christopher smiled, and it was warm and genuine. "Slow is good. Slow means I get more time to know you." He kissed me again, softer this time, sweeter. And it felt like a promise. Not a promise of perfection or fairy tales, but a promise of possibility. Of something real. Later that night, I was alone in my apartment. I stood in front of my bedroom mirror, still wearing that green dress, and I really looked at myself. The confident posture. The smile that reached my eyes. The woman who'd finally found her voice. This was me. Not Daniel's ex-wife. Not someone who wasn't good enough. Just Emily. And Emily was pretty amazing. My phone buzzed. A text from Christopher. "Thank you for an unforgettable evening. Sweet dreams, Emily." I smiled and typed back. "Thank you for seeing me." Because that's what it was really about. Not revenge. Not proving anything to Daniel. It was about being seen. Being valued. Being enough, exactly as I was. I thought back to all those years with Daniel. How I'd slowly shrunk myself down bit by bit. How I'd stopped painting because he said it was a waste of time. How I'd changed the way I dressed, the way I talked, even the way I laughed because his mother said I was too much. How I'd worked 2 jobs to pay for his law school, coming home exhausted every night while he studied. How I'd celebrated his victories and swallowed my own dreams. And for what? For a man who looked at me one day and decided I wasn't enough. For a man who'd been emotionally cheating on me for months while I kept trying to be better, do better, be more of what he wanted. But here's what I realized tonight. Daniel's opinion of me expired the moment he walked out that door. His new relationship, his mother's approval, his judgment, none of it mattered anymore. It never really did. What mattered was that I'd found myself again. I'd climbed out of that dark place after the divorce. I'd gone to therapy. I'd cried. I'd screamed into pillows. I'd eaten way too much ice cream. I'd let Jessica talk me through panic attacks at 3 a.m. And slowly, I'd rebuilt myself. Not into someone new. Into someone I used to be. The girl who loved art more than anything. The woman who had opinions and wasn't afraid to share them. The person who took up space in the world and didn't apologize for it. I hung up my green dress carefully, took down my hair, and washed my face. Tomorrow, I'd wake up as the same Emily who'd organized a successful benefit. who'd stood up to her ex-husband, who'd been kissed by a man who valued her mind as much as her heart. Tomorrow, I'd start working on that art acquisition project with Christopher. Tomorrow, I'd continue building the life I actually wanted, not the life someone else thought I should have. But tonight, I was just going to sleep well. Really well. For the first time in months, maybe years. I crawled into bed and closed my eyes, and I didn't think about Daniel. I didn't wonder if he was happy with Ashley. I didn't question whether I'd done the right thing tonight. Instead, I thought about Christopher's words. Whoever made you doubt your talent was a fool. I thought about my painting hanging in that gallery, with people admiring it, buying prints of it, being moved by it. I thought about Jessica's face when I finally stood up for myself, the pride shining in her eyes. I thought about my own reflection in the mirror tonight, strong, confident, free. And I realized something important. Christopher showing up tonight wasn't what saved me. That kiss wasn't what made me whole again. Christopher was wonderful, and maybe something real would develop between us, and maybe it wouldn't. But either way, I was already saved. I'd already saved myself. The gala, the confrontation, the kiss, those were just the final pieces clicking into place. The real work had happened in all those months before. In every therapy session. In every morning I got out of bed, even when I wanted to stay under the covers forever. In every moment I chose to keep going, keep trying, keep believing that I was worth more than Daniel said I was. I'd done that. Me. Not Christopher. Not Jessica. Not anyone else. I'd chosen to heal. I'd chosen to grow. I'd chosen myself. And that felt better than any kiss, any revenge, any moment of triumph over my ex-husband. Because here's the truth they don't tell you about divorce, about heartbreak, about being told you're not enough. The person who hurt you doesn't get to write the ending of your story. They were just a chapter. A painful, difficult chapter, but still just a chapter. You get to write what comes next. You get to decide who you become. You get to choose whether you stay broken or whether you use those broken pieces to build something even stronger. I'd chosen to build. And what I'd built was pretty incredible. As I drifted off to sleep, I smiled. Not because of Christopher, though that was nice. Not because Daniel had seen me thriving, though that didn't hurt. But because I finally, truly, completely knew my own worth. And nobody could ever take that away from me again. 3 months passed after that night. 3 incredible, challenging, beautiful months. Christopher and I did go on that date. And then another. And another. We took it slow, just like I asked. He never pushed, never demanded more than I was ready to give. We talked about art and life and dreams. He made me laugh. He listened when I needed to talk about the hard stuff, about the healing I was still doing. But this story isn't really about Christopher. It's about me. The art acquisition project for his headquarters turned into the biggest opportunity of my career. A $45 million budget to curate an entire collection for his new building downtown. I got to work with artists from all over the country, bringing their visions to life in this massive space. It was everything I'd ever dreamed of. I also started painting again. Really painting. Not hiding behind pseudonyms, not keeping my work locked in a closet. I had my first solo show at a gallery in River North. My name was on the wall, Emily Carter. And people came. People bought my paintings. People saw my work and felt something. Jessica cried at the opening. "I'm so proud of you," she said, hugging me tight. "You did this. You really did this." The Riverside Art Center thrived. We brought in more funding, expanded our programs, and I got interviewed by the Chicago Tribune about supporting emerging artists. When they asked me what inspired my work, I told them the truth. I paint about transformation, about becoming who you're meant to be. I ran into Daniel one more time, about 2 months after the gala. I was at a coffee shop near my apartment, working on my laptop, and he walked in. Alone. He saw me and hesitated. For a moment, I thought he might leave. But then he walked over. "Emily," he said, "can we talk?" I gestured to the empty chair. "Sure." He sat down, looking uncomfortable. He looked tired, older somehow. "I wanted to apologize," he said. "For everything. For how I treated you during our marriage. For what I said when I left. For showing up at your event with Ashley and being a jerk." I didn't say anything, just waited. "You were right," he continued. "About all of it. I was having an emotional affair. I did let my mother treat you terribly. I made you feel small because I felt small, and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. You deserved so much better." "Yes," I said simply. "I did." He flinched. "I've been in therapy, trying to work through some things. And I realized that I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too insecure to appreciate it. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. Part of me wanted to see him grovel. But mostly I just felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just a calm, quiet knowledge that this chapter was truly closed. I appreciate the apology, I said. Really, I do. And I hope therapy helps you. But Daniel, I've moved on. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not hurt anymore. I'm just past it. Past us. I heard about your show, he said. I saw the article. You're doing amazing things. I am, I agreed. Not bragging, just stating a fact. I'm doing what I always should have been doing. Are you still with Christopher Blake? I smiled. That's not really any of your business. But yes, we're seeing each other. He's wonderful. But more importantly, I'm wonderful. With or without him. Daniel nodded slowly. Ashley and I broke up, he said. After the gala, she started asking questions. About our relationship, about how I treated you. We tried to make it work, but I think she realized she didn't want to end up like you did. Smart woman, I said. He laughed, a sad, hollow sound. I really messed up, didn't I? Yeah, I said gently. You did. But you know what? I'm glad you did. Because it led me here. To this life. To this version of myself. I wouldn't change it now, even if I could. We talked for a few more minutes. He told me he was trying to be better, working on his relationship with his mother, thinking about what he really wanted from life. I told him I hoped he found it. When he left, I felt lighter. That conversation was the closure I didn't even know I needed. Not because he apologized, but because I realized I'd completely, totally moved on. He was just a guy now. Not the man who broke my heart. Not the person whose opinion mattered. Just Daniel. And I was just Emily. And we were both trying to figure out our lives. But I was doing a much better job at it. That night, I met Christopher for dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant. He could tell something had shifted in me. Good day, he asked, pouring us both wine. Great day, I said. I ran into Daniel. His eyebrows rose. And I realized I don't feel anything anymore. No anger, no hurt, nothing. Just peace. Christopher reached across the table and took my hand. You've done incredible work, Emily. Healing isn't easy. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me too, I said. And I meant it. We talked about our days, about the art project, about a trip we were planning to New York. Normal couple things. Happy things. But later, alone in my apartment again, I stood in front of my mirror one more time. I thought about that night at the gala, standing in this same spot, shaking as I held up that green dress. I thought about the woman I was then, scared, uncertain, still carrying so much hurt. And I looked at the woman I was now, strong, successful, healed. So here's what I learned from all of this. Your ex's opinion of you expired the moment they walked away. Your glow-up is nice, sure. But finding yourself again? That's the real victory. Daniel walking into that gala expecting to see me broken, only to watch a billionaire kiss me like I was the only woman in the room? That was satisfying. But the real triumph was everything that came after. The career I built. The art I created. The woman I became. Because at the end of the day, this story isn't about revenge or proving someone wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about knowing your worth, claiming your space, and refusing to shrink ever again. I'm Emily Carter. I'm an artist. I'm a director. I'm a woman who knows exactly who she is and what she deserves. And I'm finally, truly, completely enough. Not because someone else said so, but because I know it in my bones. And that, my friends, is how you win.